Hi everyone, here Ulysses Lavaroni for Cyclical Dreams, and we have the pleasure to be with Peter Baldwin. And welcome.
Thank you, Ulysses. It's a pleasure to be talking to you this evening. Thank you.
We are going to release a new work from your artist career. So we want to know about how do you arrive to music and how do you arrive to electronic music and what happened there, how it was, and what influences uh, make the path.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's probably a similar story to many people, but yeah, I discovered electronic music when I was a kid. Um, I used to when I was a kid, I used to have this little paper round that I used to do, and every morning I would get up and I'd take my Walkman with me, and I'd be listening to, in the first instance, I think it was probably Jean-Michel Jarre and Oxygene, and then I kind of ended up sort of discovering all of his work, and I really enjoyed that, and then I discovered probably my biggest hero, which is Vangelis, and yeah, what can you say about Vangelis? He was a genius, and
Same here.
a massive inspiration on me. And then a little bit later, actually, through a television through a television show that was on at the time, called Street Hawk, I discovered the music of Tangerine Dream. So yeah, I think it was the title theme for the credits. That kind of famous 3-minute track. It's probably not even that long, actually. I just was quite impressed by how different it sounded. I mean, by this point, I think it was probably about 86, 87 when I was 17. I'd already heard a fair bit of electronic music, and Tangerine Dream was a bit different, with the kind of fast sequencing and all this kind of stuff. So I was very curious, and yeah, I went on a mission to discover more of their music. And yeah, I can remember going to the local shopping center. I managed to acquire Stratosphere, and I thought, oh yeah, this was cool. It had a cool cover. And then when I got back home and listened to it on my record player, I thought, this doesn't sound like Street Hawk. But it was cool nonetheless. And there were elements, especially on the last track, Invisible Limits, where it kind of goes into that fast street hawky kind of sound. So I thought, okay, yeah, I can hear it. But I was curious, and even Stratosphere was an interesting album. And then from there, I just discovered more of their stuff. I think it was Exit might have been the next one, which was amazing. And just gradually, I collected all of their material, and yeah, I kind of really connected with that earlier material, the kind of Froze, Frank Baumann era. So from kind of Zeit onto about that their kind of last album, which is the encore album. And yeah, I just love that kind of ethereal, psychedelic, earthy, primeval sound, which kind of originated in those earlier albums, in Zeit, but also before that with ATEM and the earlier stuff. But I really like that. Yeah, it's very ethereal, very psychedelic, very earthy, primeval, as I just said. And there was like an energy and a dynamism which I really connected with. I guess it's that element that I kind of have connected with in what I do with my music. I mean, I'm still very much a Vangelis fan, and then I kind of aspire to the techniques that Vangelis used to compose his music. in terms of creating music in the moment. I'm recording it live in the moment. For me, that has become a very important process to make music. So yeah, I came from creating music again very fast using software instruments, you know, in Ableton Live, and using the push. And I was creating stuff very fast, also kind of in the moment, but it was also produced to a certain extent. But now I'm in a situation where I've kind of moved away from the software stuff. Not completely. I still make it, but for me, creating music in the moment using hardware tools, synthesizers, effects units, and all manner of stuff that I can get my hands on is really where I'm at. So yeah, that in a nutshell, that's, yeah. I mean, I can talk for much longer, but I think that kind of encapsulates it, I would say.
So you start to make music because you listen to those
Mm-hmm.
very inspiring music first, and you go straight right to electronic music, or are you playing another thing and then it's a derivation of I don't know, guitar or piano playing, and then go into electronics? How it was?
So that's a good question. I'm not just fixated on electronic music, though that is quite a large. I mean, that is what I do. And even though I spoke about sort of Berlin School and psychedelic, electronic, or experimental ambient music, yeah, I've also made dance music. I played in well, when back in the days when I lived in the UK. I had collaborations with various people. I was in some kind of I guess hardcore hip hop group for a couple of years, where we used to make sort of stuff that was inspired by Tackhead and Adrian Sherwood. And then I kind of was friends with some other guys, and we were going to raves back in the early 90s, and then we were making techno and rave and that kind of stuff. And then I kind of discovered Detroit techno, which I really connected with. I really liked that sound, because it wasn't so commercial, but it was doing something a little bit closer to what I would say Berlin School is doing. It was a little bit more ambient, a little bit more interesting, again, experimental, but it still had a kind of a groove to it. So I kind of like that stuff. And yeah, I mean, when in my dabbles with software, I've kind of gone off on an IDM tangent, you know, your kind of Aphex Twin and Autechre kind of directions. But you know, where I've ended up now is yeah, purely and squarely in I would say Berlin School, but it's not just Berlin School. It's kind of ambient, I would say, ambient electronic music that kind of takes in sequences and that kind of thing. But sometimes it can be just a bit of a noisy row. So, but yeah, it's feeling, making music in the moment, playing it, discovering it at the same time as people are also hearing it. So I kind of find that process magical in a way.
Okay, so the new work that you are going to release in Cyclical Dreams, it's about in a real time making music. How was the compositional process into involved into this new release?
Exactly that. So basically, I've got a setup of several synthesizers. It's kind of disassembled at the moment, but yeah, I've got a bunch of analog synths, a couple of Behringers in there. There's an Odyssey, a 2600. There's a bunch of Roland's System One, a couple of SHO1 boutiques. I've also got some Electron gear as well. Sorry for the ding. And yeah, just various synthesizers. And I kind of approach it in that not everything is all synchronized together. It's basically in its own self-contained little groups of instruments. So I've got one group of instruments which is kind of led by the Odyssey. Also takes on board the kind of the Roland system 1. And then I've got like my little analog modular setup, which has got the 2600 in it. And at the time I recorded the album, that was also included some of the Behringer kind of semi-modular synths, like the Model D, the Neutron, and the K2. I nearly said the Korg MS-20. It's not. It's the K2. And then there was I had another section then, which was another modular sort of group, which had the Korg Voca modular plugged into the Nifty rack, which is my small modular rack, which has got a bunch of little funky modules in it. And I also have this rather extravagant synthesizer called the Deckard's Dream, which is the hardware or the hardware clone, I would say, based on the Yamaha CS80, as we all know what that synth is. So yeah, I mean that's more or less my setup. I've also got a Korg wave state, but I've turned that into a Mellotron. So I basically put on all of the Mellotron patches that I normally use in software. I put those onto my Korg wave state. And I play that through the Soma Cosmos, which is this funky asynchronous looper device, which I discovered sometime last year, and I thought, yes, I think I need to get hold of one of those, because I really liked the way that it works. It's not a rhythmical looper, though it can be turned into that. It kind of allows you to play in musical phrases, and then it drifts them. It's called a drifting memory station. So you can play something in, and then it just does its thing with it. And yeah, it's lovely. I just love playing the Mellotron into that device, and just seeing where it goes. So yeah, actually, I hadn't had the Soma Cosmos long when I recorded the material for this album. So the Soma Cosmos plays a fairly large role, certainly at the beginning of each of the pieces, and it crops up intermittently through each piece. So it's kind of like it's like a bridging kind of thing. And from this soup of sounds and textures and environments, I kind of layer up the various rhythmical elements. And all of this work was, as I said, it's created and improvised in the moment. So there was I think there was only some drum beats that I had already written quite some time ago on the TR-08.
So there's a post edition, like a multi-track recording, or because there's two ways in this environment. Is you go stereo or you go multi-track, and then
Well, this was recorded in multi-track live. So I've got a multi-track mixer. So everything was going into the multi-track mixer, and it was recorded live. I will say that afterwards I did do some post-processing on it to basically re-adding some reverb, because when I record live, I use the Strymon Big Sky reverb, but that doesn't come through on the multi-track with the way that I've got it set up, because I'm using that on a special channel. So I re-add in another reverb, and also because it's live, there were some parts that let me say that I fixed that were kind of mistakes that I didn't like so much. So I kind of went in and creatively adjusted them a little bit. So yeah, while I say it's live, it was definitely recorded live and definitely composed in the moment. there was some afterwards kind of tinkering with it as well, just to polish it up a little bit more. So,
Yes, of
but
course.
normally when I'm streaming, yeah, I mean, normally I just leave it as is, and because it's live, that's how it was, and that was the energy. For me, the important thing is capturing that kind of dynamic energy. So so like not all of the mistakes will be fixed, for example. So like some of the timings in some of the playing, I won't fix those. So things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting process because anyway, it's a live decision, it's a real time decision, and it's changed completely the music. Then
Yes.
I mean, everything is good. It's just arrive to the music that we love, but the methods are completely different. And going onto stereo, going onto multi-track, or planning everything for months in the MIDI files, it's everything okay. But the the processes are quite different and leads to different results. That I think that there's a lot of good music made in all those methods. So everything is good.
Absolutely.
It's okay,
Absolutely. I
but
mean,
is the we are artists. We love the process.
yes,
So we
totally.
choose. We finally choose a process to
Indeed.
arrive better to our I don't know, mood, emotions.
Mhm.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I mean, I spent many years making stuff in software, using VSTs, and doing that. Going into the door. Again, I was kind of I like to record it as quickly as possible, as live as possible. And then I would go in and obviously make the changes on the MIDI tracks and the effects and all this stuff in Ableton. But I don't know. At some point in the last 3 or 4 years, I've become more attracted to making it as close to or as close to as possible in the moment, as possible. I don't know why. It's just something that I have to do now, and I find it difficult to do it the other way now. So
It works.
it works exactly. Yeah,
It works.
we're all artists. We do it the way that we feel that reflects us.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Peter, for your time. It's a pleasure that you join into Cyclical Dream team. Uh, and we are creating a very beautiful community of composers worldwide. So it's a pleasure to have your release in this label. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and yeah, it's also a great honor for me to be also included in Cyclical Dreams. I know the quality of the artists on the label, so to be in this company is also a big honor for me. So thank you also.